I'd like to call the regular school committee meeting to order at 6:37. We are beginning tonight, Wednesday, May 15th. And if everybody could please stand, if we could start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to open up with some comments and then start up with the meeting. This has certainly been a very difficult process for all of us, all the committee members, school administration, and everybody here, people that have been watching. I've received some calls recently. It's been interesting. People telling me that, Mayor, we hear you talking about how difficult this budget is, but 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, those were real budget discussions and all kinds of things taking place, and this is nothing compared to what it was years ago. But I don't believe that. This has been a very difficult process for everybody, very challenging for each and every one of us. And I thought I'd open up with some comments and then make a proposal. I first want to just state that I want to be clear that we are adding to this year's budget over $3 million. It's a 4.1% increase over last year's budget. Now, certain needs have arisen, certain costs have escalated much higher than what was anticipated. I'm going to be repeating some numbers, but I want to make sure it's very clear where we stand. We've had an increase of $1.6 million in health insurance. We've had an increase in $1.2 million in special education and over $500,000 in transportation. Those are just a few of the costs that have escalated beyond what we thought they were going to be. In addition to the $2.7 million in salary adjustments that was negotiated and earned by all of our staff here in our city. But certainly that has put all of us in a position where we really need to look at our budget and adjust to the needs. Our special needs community the costs have gone up. We have added a significant number of positions to special education because the needs are there and the numbers are there. And we have to look at opportunities where the numbers speak, and we need to look at opportunities to make some reductions to account for that. All of our city departments, this is not an education issue, this is all of our city departments. I've said many times, I've had incredible number of meetings with the police chief, the fire chief, our library director, our Department of Public Works director, our health director, our finance director, legal department, to try to work on our budgets. And I can tell you that every budget is going to be feeling a reduction. The biggest increase will be in the school budget this year, and not just in terms of number, but in terms of percentage. 2015, we had 813 FTEs, full-time employee equivalents, 813 in our school department. This year, we had 863. So over the last 4 years, we have had an increase in our staff of 50 FTEs. That's where, even though our enrollment has gone down significantly, particularly at the high school, over 300 students, we have less than we did in 2015, now in 2019. But the investment we have made is still there, but we are working through the adjustments. And I spoke of this yesterday, and I'm going to speak of it again. A real issue has been the Essex Tech Vocational School. We are paying $5 million to the Essex Tech Vocational School, and it just goes up every year, several $100,000. That is for our approximately 300 students that go to the Essex Vocational School. Again, I fought against the construction of that school, and Mrs. Dunn as well. I know other people felt the same way, particularly many educators here in the city. I would have wanted to make that investment in our own school system, in our own school buildings. And I felt that we could have provided for our students with a new high school and education and vocational programs if we invested in ourselves. The decision was made at the time, 10 years plus ago, to go into the vocational school and join, and now we are part of that system. putting aside the tens of millions of dollars that we put into that building for the construction of that building, we are now paying $5 million. And again, if we had $5 million or even $2.5 million, half that, we wouldn't even be in this situation. We would be working through a budget where we'd be able to make some investments, and this would not be these difficult moments for us. But prior to the opening of the new vocational school, we were averaging about 10 students that would go to the Essex Aggie and the North Shore Voc. Now we have approximately 70 to 80 per class that go to the Essex Tech. We need to keep those students here. We need to keep our students in our school system. And I am committed now more than ever to build a brand new Peabody High School. And I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think I'm speaking for everybody in saying that we need to build the brand new Peabody High School. Hoping we have the application into the Mass School Building Authority, but even best case scenario, we're looking at 5 to 6 years out. But if we are able to bring those students back to our school by investing in our facility, our technology, bringing back vocational programs that I think are necessary, I think we'd be in a much better situation than what we are now. But every year, I get a bill from the Essex Tech. This year was almost $5 million, and it's non-negotiable. It just has to be paid. And it takes away from not only our school system's budget, but also the budget from our other departments. That has put us in a very difficult situation to be where we are today. And again, I feel like we're adding in some areas, but subtracting in other areas. And it hurts. It hurts our educators. It hurts our students. But we're trying to figure out the best balanced approach we can make in trying to work on or make decisions based on what the numbers tell us. We've been going back and forth now for a number of meetings. I am going to make a proposal right now to see if we can make progress and make a decision tonight. And I'm going to speak to it, certainly open it up for questions at the end. Based on the reductions we made yesterday, and I'm going to be using round numbers, of $826,000. We add that to the $1.226 million from the previous reductions. That puts us at about $2.05 million. That leaves us with $1.45 million to reach the number reach the number that I added, the $3 million. What I'm going to propose is some calculated risk, measured risks that we've taken in the past. Some have worked for us, other times it has not. But I think these are risks that are worth taking, and they're risks in areas that do not affect people. And I'm going to move forward with these and ask the school committee to support these recommendations. The first one is $200,000 in early retirement. As I've stated, I am going to be presenting a proposal for an early retirement for only Unit A and Unit B. Those will be the only unions in the city that will be offered this possibility. And again, it will not be years. It is not relative to age. We as a city or town are not allowed to offer age or years in terms of retirement, only a financial benefit. I'm going to offer that, see where that takes us. I think there may be some people that would be interested in that. We'll be releasing the terms very soon. I was hoping to do that, and I was hoping to reach out to the union president, incoming Mary Henry. Today I was not able to do so because I was working on these numbers, but we spoke yesterday, and I'll be reaching out to her to get her thoughts and to get the union's thoughts on that. But I think we could put forward a high-out, low-in number of $200,000. Special education. I think that was underfunded last year. The recommendation is to go up nearly $1.2 million based on the numbers this year. I am recommending that we go up $1 million and take a calculated measured risk of $200,000. I'm asking to go up from $5,814,000 to $6,959,000. That's $200,000 less. Excuse me, let me correct myself. I'm asking to go up to $6,759,000 rather than the $6,959,000 that was recommended. So again, a $200,000 calculated risk. Our substitute line item is $370,000. It's been that way for years, and it's a ridiculous number, and it hasn't been accurate for a number of years. The recommendation was to go up to $771,000. That is more in line with what the numbers have been over the years. We have a incentive now in the union contract for attendance, which might be something that works for people. And I think a calculated risk of reducing the 771 number down to 671 and putting $100,000 back in the budget is a risk worth taking. Again, we're going up from 370 to a more realistic number of 671. Unemployment. We were very conservative in our unemployment estimates. Very conservative. And I feel confident in saying that we could reduce that number by 350,000 and move forward with our number set aside for possible unemployment. There is a position that is in the budget that when we were reviewing it should have been in the city side. That was a facilities position. I would like to take that position and move it over to the city side of the budget. That's a $75,000 savings. And I would like to increase my number, technically another $100,000. That would put us, for those items, at $1.02 million, still leaving us $428,000 shy from the number that I think needs to be our goal. I have some additional proposals to make. I'm proposing to reduce 2 custodians. I believe those can be done through retirement. 2 custodian positions, not ideal, certainly, but we have currently 11 at our high school, 7 at the middle school, and 2 at every elementary school. I think we can continue to have 2 at every elementary school and look to reduce potentially at the high school, 2 positions. And again, I think that can be done through retirement. I would like to propose that we eliminate 1 elementary teacher at the Welch School based on the numbers. I understand that the Welch School is transient and the numbers could change dramatically from year to year, but right now the numbers are low, and I think we can take a chance there and eliminate the Welch School position, knowing that if the numbers rise and there are a number of people that move in over the summer, we could add that position back in. Based upon what I gathered from the school committee yesterday when we were reviewing the crossing guards, the supervisor is $13,000. I believe that the will of the committee was to reduce that position and put it under the direction of the Peabody Police Department. I'd be looking to reduce that $13,000. Ms. Murtagh has proposed an increase on legal fees, which is, I think, necessary, but I think that we could reduce that by $20,000 in terms of legal fees. Those pertain to special education. That reduces another $208,000 if that's the will of the committee, leaving $220,000 remaining that we need to work through. Looking at list A, looking at other possibilities that we may discuss here, that would allow us to keep all of our reading specialists, and that would allow us to keep all of our kindergarten paraprofessionals, as well as some other positions. That's what I'm proposing. We still have some work to do, $220,000 to work at. I think we need to look at school administration with these final decisions. I think that has to be looked at. And again, we're working to try to keep people in front of students, and it's a challenge. And that's why I think these calculated risks, although some may work, some may not, I'm confident in proposing and hoping that you'll follow my recommendation. With that, I'll open it up for questions, and certainly we'll be looking at some votes for what I've proposed. Thank you, Mr. Olympio.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to follow the recommendation of the mayor.
Second.
Okay, you've heard the motion made by Mr. Olympio, seconded by Mr. Arnottis. So those are the items that I've outlined. And that would be a total of 1.228 million. Everybody comfortable with, need me to review any of those items? I certainly can. Any comments before we go to roll call vote? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you. We are at 220,000. Again, not easy, much better than where we were certainly, but still a couple of difficult decisions to be made. Again, I think we need to look at administration and maybe some additional items on List A. I'd move to take List B out of consideration. We voted yesterday not to have reading specialists. I think I'd like to propose the same for kindergarten and paraprofessionals.
Second.
Okay. Heard the motion by Mrs. Dunn, seconded by Mr. Hockman. We will, all in favor? That's a unanimous vote. I'll open it up for further discussion on List B and potential administration. Mr. Hockman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your leadership tonight as well. I know yesterday we brought up the number of students that are participating in the PANS program. I think it was 10. We have 2 staff members working in that program. There was a recommendation from the superintendent to reduce that by 50%. I know some committee members wanted some additional information. If before I make the motion, if you want to, Superintendent, do you have any additional information for us?
I'm sorry, Mr. Hockman, could you please repeat that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm not, last night we talked about the PANS program. It was
Okay.
identified that there were 10 students who were participating in that program, and we have 2 staff members there. There's a recommendation from the superintendent for a 50% reduction in staff. Some committee members had some questions, and I was just hopeful that Superintendent Murtagh would have the information that was sought last night.
So
Ms.
currently,
Murtagh?
thank you. Currently, we have 13 full-time students in that program. 5 are graduating this year. And then you also asked me about credit recovery, and 7 students are in credit recovery right now 2 to 3 times a week. That's the information. We've got some wonderful feedback from some people, some great ideas, but I need to, at this time, stick with the recommendation.
Any comments, questions, Ms. Murtagh, Mr. Olympia?
Yeah, through the chair. So, Ms. Murtagh, so that, the program will still be in place in the fall. It's a staff reduction due to enrollment?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olympio. Any questions, Mr. Amico?
Through the chair to Ms. Murtagh, and if, would you keep us updated in case the one position is not enough for that program? Come
Certainly.
back to us next year?
Most certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Arnottis?
Thank you. Actually, Mr. Miko just hit the nail on the head. That's what I was concerned about. If there are any changes, and I know you're working on some other ideas that we can't talk about at the moment, but if we can flesh those out over time and you see an ability to do that, I hope that would be at the top of the list, because I know how important this program is.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. This is not easy, obviously.
Okay, Mr. Hockman?
So again, this is a sensitive population. It's a priority for this committee. It's been a priority for this committee to address graduation rates and dropout rates and things of that nature. With that and with the recommendation of the superintendent, and understanding that if the population within this program does change, we will revisit this. I make a motion to follow the recommendation of the superintendent with regard to a reduction in the PANS teachers to 1.
Second.
Okay, heard the motion by Mr. Hockman, seconded by Mr. Amico. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Mr. Chairman.
I'll open it to the committee. Mr. Arnottis?
Thank you. I know you had mentioned talking about administration, and if the committee would like to discuss it first, I'd be happy to do that, but I am prepared to make a motion to reduce one of the dean positions at the high school. One of the dean positions at the high school.
Second.
Heard the motion by Mr. Arnottis, seconded by Mr. Olympio. Any discussion?
Can you repeat the motion?
It was to reduce one of the dean positions at the high school.
Okay.
On the motion, Mr. Hockman.
Yeah, thank you. I know we're getting down to some uglier decisions, and I appreciate the motion, Mr. Arnottis, and I know the population at the high school is reduced. It's probably as low as it's been in maybe the history of the city. This is a tough one for me, however. I think you and I talked about this a little bit. You know, I have some personal experience. A daughter had some difficulty up there who's turned things around, in large part because of some deans up there. You know, for a variety of other reasons as well, I'm not going to be able to support this.
Okay.
Mr. Miko?
Through the chair of the committee. This is also a very tough one. Unfortunately, we're at that point where we're putting one up against the other. And we as a committee made a decision to keep on all the reading specialists, to keep on all the kindergarten paraprofessionals, and that comes at a cost. We can't have it all. This too is a very difficult one for me, but because we can't, or I can't vote to have all these back, and I had to pick and choose, as we all did, I will support it.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
No.
Yes.
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 Mr. Chairman.
Mrs. Carpenter?
Thank you. I wanted to talk about the before-school box program. That supply is listed at $20,500. I'd like to cut that in half, and I have discussed it with the coordinator, who says the program could still move forward with that reduced by half. So I'd like to make a motion to reduce the before-school box supply line by half.
Second.
Thank you. And I am hoping, I've reached out to a couple of businesses in the city, and I'm hoping to get some sponsors for that program as well.
Even better then.
So that would be a reduction,
So 10,
$10,000.
yeah.
Okay, any comments? Mr. Hockman?
Yeah, can we gauge the degree of your confidence in getting participation from private individuals for this? Is that a likelihood? This is a at-risk population. This is
Yeah, I'm actually thinking that we could, Ms. Carpenter, why don't you amend the motion and remove the 20,000, and I will work very hard to get that from sponsors.
the full amount.
Yep.
So amended.
Second.
Okay. I'll open it up to the school committee. Any additional comments or questions? I think we're pretty close here. Oh, do we need a roll call vote on that? Yeah, let's, roll call vote on the box program, please.
Yes.
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 Can we get a tally, please? Where are we? We're under 100. I don't know the dollar value of the dean, that's why I'm,
So you guys would be,
So I think we're at, I would estimate it to
Yeah, right?
60,000, and if that's the case, we're done.
we're done. So,
Right.
Motion to
We're done.
adjourn?
no. if
Oh.
No. if I-
Yes, Mr. Hockman?
Yeah, so thank you. I'm not going to ask where the conversations went that I asked for yesterday to enter into the conversations and negotiations with the various bargaining units regarding the furlough. We just made some really difficult choices and took some risks, calculated as they are. And I'd really like to see some of those reductions that we voted on, some of which reluctantly, reinstated. And so I would still like to have those conversations to see if the entire school department, staff, administration, and us are willing to participate in a one-day furlough so that we can bring, for example, for me, the ELL teachers back to salary so that the ELL cuts that we're making are reinstated. I don't like seeing the cut at the Welch School, none of us do. I'd like to see that reinstated. There are some real meaningful additions that we can get back, and I don't think it's, I've gotten a lot of emails, we've all gotten a lot of emails this week about how this burden needs to be shared by everybody, and I think we did that. I think we accomplished that, but I think we can get some of it back if everyone's willing to sacrifice just a little.
Thank you, Mr. Hockman. One additional item I did want to bring up. I wanted to ask the committee to reconsider on the $4,500 stipend for the art department. As I've learned more about that department, I think it's necessary.
Motion to reconsider.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Motion to reinstate the department head in the art department.
Any further items before we adjourn? Mrs. Dunn and Mrs. Carpenter?
Yes, as far as moving forward for, like a schedule, could we, I know we will receive it, but could we get a complete list of what we have cut on and everything that we have decided through this process? Just so that we can review that before the budget itself is redone?
Absolutely. And I would just like to say, I want to commend Ms. Murtagh, Dr. Lord, and Mr. LaFleur and their team. This budget, as we were going through it, there were a number of holes that were uncovered that made this even more challenging as we started to get into it. This was a budget that took a great deal, being Ms. Murtagh's first budget. There were a lot of challenges that were presented as we started going through, and I just want to commend her and her team for that. Yeah, we will certainly put together the list of where we're at. But again, reading specialists, kindergarten and paraprofessionals, I know a library, family consumer science, I think I said that wrong, but those number of positions we were working towards, some administrative positions, things that we really wanted to try to work. Again, we are taking some risk, and again, but it is calculated, and I think that this can work for us. But there will be constant issues that arise during the budget, as there are every year. There may be needs for certain departments as we've gone along, and we certainly want to try to work on that. So in terms of timing, we have to have a public hearing. I think, I'm not sure if we can set a date right now. I think we have to have it within 10 days. So we'll be looking to schedule that. I think we need to regroup tomorrow and come up with a day for the public hearing. and then it can be sent to the city council. And I believe they need a minimum of 10 days for their review. We're looking at June 11th, 12th, and 13th as city council review days. I don't know which departments will be taking up which days yet. That'll be determined by Council Gravel, the finance chair, and the city council. But that'll go to them as well. I'll try to get a better schedule out to you as quickly as I can. Mrs. Carpenter?
Thank you. Just to a couple of points that Mr. Hockman made, a lot of the decisions we made over the last couple of weeks were very difficult. With that being said, the request by Mr. Hockman to meet with the unions is moving forward. We will schedule them. It is a process that takes some time. As I've explained to many people, the budget is so very fluid that some things could come back or some may not, and they were all very difficult. I do want to commend some of the high school students who came tonight to fight for one of their teachers and to fight about paying for parking. So I just want to tell them how proud I am for them coming. I explained the process that they couldn't speak tonight, but I did point you all out for them. So we will move forward. It is fluid, and thank you.
Any other comments before we adjourn? Mr. Miko?
Thank you. Through the chair to the committee, actually to the whole audience, I just want to thank Ms. Murtagh and the leadership team for putting this budget together and really working hard. This wasn't easy. And also to the mayor for your leadership. You continue to be a mayor who puts children first and our schools first, and I just want to thank you for your leadership as well. To the committee, we've worked really hard on this. This wasn't easy at all. We've had a lot of discussions, I know I had a couple of sleepless nights as well. And to the audience, you guys came, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for being respectful. This isn't easy. A lot of these cuts were things that we did not want to make, but we really had to, and just want to thank you, and hopefully we can move on, and this is a great city, and it's about people, and hopefully we can move on from this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miko. Mrs. Dunn?
Could I suggest, since we blocked off probably every day from now till June, if we could have schedule a meeting for next Tuesday to wrap this all up, to take a final vote and to be able to schedule and vote on the date of the public hearing?
Really, Mrs. Dunn? I'll take that under advisement.
Want another kind of style?
I'll take that under advisement.
So we'll make a motion to recess?
I know we were throwing a lot of numbers, a lot of information. If there's any questions, I will stay here till the last person leaves. If there's any specific questions, please ask me. Motion to adjourn, thank you.